everyone, and my name is Jordan Hedden. I am the creator of Big Girl Diaries podcast, and today you are listening to my 26th episode. I'm so excited to be back podcasting. Podcasting really has a special place in my heart and in my soul. I have took a break because I have been having some going through life and just not feeling the best as far as podcasting. I have been I've been having some feelings of like doubt when it comes to my podcast, but I'm so happy that I have gotten over that because today's episode is going to be deep, but it's going to be heartfelt, but it's going to be also necessary. And today's podcast, I am talking about forgiveness. I want to give a Bible verse, and the Bible verse is, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as Christ God forgave you." I love this verse because it's leading on to what we're going to be talking about. And first I want to talk about what is forgiveness. Forgiveness is when you come to a place. Forgiveness is, in my opinion, forgiveness is when you have come to a place in your mind and in your heart where you aren't angry, you aren't revengeful, you aren't sad, you aren't depressed, you aren't upset. I believe that forgiveness is a place of being okay with things that has happened or is happening. That's what I believe forgiveness is. Forgiveness is being selfless. Forgiveness is being able to overcome and being able to give people grace. And I love the Bible verse so much because I'm a true believer in if you want God to forgive you, and this is a Christian podcast, so I just want to, say that right there. But if you want God to forgive you, you must be able to forgive other people who have done you wrong. And most importantly, you must be able to forgive yourself, because we want to be perfect really bad. Like we all want to be perfect. We all want to be like an example for the next person. Some people do. I know I do. But the fact of the matter is we aren't all perfect. So I feel like forgiving yourself is just as important as being forgiving towards other people. For number 3, what does it mean to forgive? Okay. What it means to forgive is to let go. I say being able to let go and move on with life is what it means to forgive. Now, when I say let go, it doesn't mean that you gotta let go and then everything gotta go back to normal, or you gotta, like, sometimes I feel like we need to forgive and still move on. If that makes example. If it's worth it though. Like, I believe that forgiveness, it does change. Like, when you forgive somebody, that doesn't mean your feelings towards them are necessarily going to change. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that when you forgive somebody, the feelings towards yourself should change, if that makes sense. Like, if somebody did something to you and you are filled with anger, you are filled with shame, you are filled with like disgust towards that person, I feel like some people will feel like forgiving them is like giving them your power. Like, it's kind of like, nah, I can't, I gotta hold this over your head. But deep down, that's not hurting them. Deep down, it's hurting you. And it's really a backwards way of thinking. Well, I'm not gonna say it's a backwards way of thinking, but it's really something that people really don't want to think about. Like, some people think that getting revenge and hurting the person the same way they hurt you is the good thing to do. But really, two wrongs don't make a right. And stooping yourself down to their level, it's not gonna make you feel better. It's just gonna make you feel more disgusted and unauthentic in yourself. I believe that forgiveness is really about the person. It's really a self thing. It's really something that you have to do for your own peace of mind and for your own sanity, because we are not perfect humans, and the same grace that you gave to somebody, they're gonna give you in return. Because like I said, we're not perfect humans. So when you mess up, do you just want somebody to throw you away like you trash, or do you want somebody to give you another chance, give you the grace that you gave them? But if you didn't give them no grace, how you expect them to give you grace? And I feel like we are not perfect humans, and being forgiving, it can create stronger relationships, because it don't matter who you deal with. It don't matter who you feel like is better than this person. We are going to have to forgive people in our lives eventually. Everybody is not just going to be who we want them to be, when we want them to be, how we want them to be it. We're going to have to give them grace, in the same grace that we deserve in our lives. Next is, why is forgiveness important? I believe forgiveness is important because like I said, we're not perfect people. And I truly believe that it will build stronger relationships. Like, if you really want solid people in your life, and you want people to be in your life for the long run, you're definitely going to have to practice forgiveness, and I think forgiveness is important because just because somebody made a mistake, that doesn't mean that they are less than. Like, my auntie told me something. She told me that humans, we are neither all good or all bad. We're in the middle. And every time I talk to somebody I love, or every time I feel like somebody in my life has done something wrong towards me, I think about that quote. I think about how, wow, like, we are all good, but we aren't all bad either. And you should really, when it comes to people in your life, you should really just do the pros and the cons. Like, weigh out the goods and weigh out the bad. If somebody, even though this person did this one bad thing, what other values and what other things are they adding to my life? How are they improving my life? Even, why did they do this? Like, I feel like, before cutting somebody off in your life, or trying to be vengeful, you should really take a sit down and ask yourself, what has happened in this person's life, and why do I feel like they did what they did to me? Like, because most of the time, when people do something that you feel like you have to forgive them for, or something that you feel like it hurted you, it really has nothing to do with you. Like, to think that everything that somebody do has something to do with you, or it's about you, or it's towards you, that's a little selfish. Yeah, that's selfish. Like, not everything's about you. Like people do stuff in their life because they're having issues within themselves. You could be the most perfect peach tree person in the world, and somebody can still do something that makes you feel a certain type of way. And I feel like we internalize the things that people do to us, and it's like we can't really do that because we don't know what's going on in somebody else's life that made them do that. So I feel like forgiveness is more of a practice. It's a practice to protect yourself, and that's why I feel like it's important, because you're gonna have to forgive a lot of people. Like God says, you gotta give people thousands of times a day. You have to have forgiveness in your heart. You have to give out forgiveness thousands of times a day. You don't have to forgive people 1,000 times a week. You have to forgive people daily. Like, it's a daily practice of forgiving people, because people are not perfect, and people are kind of like a little, people kind of these days. So it's like you really it's very much a right thing to do to be a forgiving person. It's the godly thing to do, to be a forgiving person, because it's so easy to like want to be vengeful, want to get on somebody's level, want to be spiteful. But really, the hardest thing to do is actually be the bigger person and be forgiving, because not everybody wants to be forgiving. How to forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself is really what matters the most, because once you forgive yourself, you are in a place where you can have peace of mind, and that's all that matters really, is having peace of mind in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit. And I feel like you just got to go through the motions when it comes to forgiving yourself. Like, you can't it's a quote, and the quote is, you can't forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. It's something like that. Like, you gotta forgive yourself for not knowing that sorry y'all, I'm just trying to get it out. You gotta forgive yourself for not knowing better before you knew better. Yes, basically, yes, queen, yes, that's what I'm trying to say, queen. That's what I'm trying to say. Or king, because I love when men listen to my podcast. So king or queen, you have to forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know. And that's the thing about life. Like, life is filled with a whole bunch of mistakes that you just gotta learn from. Like, life is filled with lessons. Like, and I feel like once you realize that I didn't know what I didn't know before I did what I did, you realize that it's gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, the important thing about forgiving yourself is making sure that you learned the lesson that you need to learn. And it's really some deep stuff. Like, you really gotta put your thinking cap on, sisters. Like, you gotta put your thinking cap on. You gotta really think, like, I know what she talking about. Like, I hope y'all resonating, because I know we all did something that we felt shame about, or we have done something that we felt like wasn't the right thing, or just things happen in life. Like, things happen in life that is gonna affect us. And I feel like in order to forgive yourself is to be okay with the outcome, and to be okay with what has happened. And I feel like in order to do that, you just really got to sit with yourself and meditate and ask yourself, why did I do this? Why did I think that this happened? Why did I want to do this? Where did this come from? Why? You got to ask yourself the hard questions: who, what, when, where, why, how. And that's how you forgive yourself. And whatever you come up in your brain, just be okay with it. Like, I feel like we so quick to judge ourselves, and we so quick to, like, bring ourselves down and be insecure about something that we can't come to acceptance of what it is. You just gotta accept shit for what it is. And I'm sorry about cussing. Sorry. But you just gotta accept stuff for what it is. And that's how you forgive yourself. Like, and you truly gotta accept stuff. Like, and it's hard. Like, it's all this stuff that I'm saying, it's not easy to do. Like, it's really not. Next is how to forgive others. Okay. I feel like forgiving others, it's really hard to do that too, because once somebody make you mad or they do something that you feel like betrayed you, you just be done with them. But like I said, like the Bible first said, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as Christ forgave you. And I feel like when it comes to forgiving other people, you got to forgive other people if you want God to forgive you. And that's all I really got to say about that. Like don't be so on your high horse that you can't be humble and you can't give out grace when grace is needed. Because trust me, baby, one day you gonna want that same grace in return. And that's all I got to say. How to move on, because after you doing all this forgiveness, that don't mean, oh, I'm gonna forgive you but I won't forget. Like, that's not, I feel like that's ungodly. Like, I'll forgive but I won't forget. That's not right. Like, because if you go forgive somebody but you keep on harping over the past, like, a part of forgiveness is moving on. You got to be able to move on from the past. Like, you can't just be so caught up. Because if you feel like you gonna be caught up with what somebody did, don't be cool with them no more. But I'm not saying, wait, maybe I should say this. Just because you forgive somebody, that don't mean they still deserve access to you. So especially if you a type of person that don't forget stuff easily. But if you're going to have somebody in your life still, and you still go be involved with them, you're going to have to forgive and move on. I'm not going to say forgive and forget. I'm going to just say forgive and move on. And in order to move on, it's just like just being okay. Just being okay with the outcome, being okay with what you did, being okay with how it made people feel, and learning from it and doing better. And with that being said, this is the end of the podcast episode. I am so happy that you have listened this far, Love Bug. I am so happy that you tuned in. And I hope that somebody hear this episode and let God place forgiveness in your heart. Forgiveness for yourself, forgiveness for the other people that have wronged you, and forgiveness for life, because we are not perfect humans. In Jesus' name, yes, Queen. I love you so much, and this is the end of the podcast. Bye.